When you think of Vietnam, you might picture vibrant street food, ancient temples, or misty mountain rice terraces. But what if I told you there's another Vietnam, one hidden in the jungles, highlands, and swamps, where birds sing in ghostly echoes, flash neon feathers through the shadows, and vanish before you can even lift your camera? This isn't your average bird-watching tour. These are the birds the world forgot. Some are so rare they've been seen only a handful of times. Others vanished for decades, until suddenly they were rediscovered like legends come to life. From colorful pittas hopping like wind-up toys, to secretive babblers with voices louder than their bodies, to a 6-foot feathered giant that struts like royalty, Vietnam is home to some of the most mysterious and overlooked birds on Earth. So today we're heading deep into the wild, past the tourist maps, into the dripping green silence of the forest. You'll meet 15 species, some beautiful, some bizarre, all unforgettable. And by the end, you might just wonder, how did the world not know about these birds sooner? If someone took a box of neon crayons and gave it wings, this bird would fly straight out of it. Meet the bar-bellied Pitta, a bird that doesn't walk so much as it hops, like a wind-up toy powered by pure jungle energy. Found in the dense forests of central and southern Vietnam, this dazzling ground dweller flashes across the undergrowth, with feathers so bright it looks like it glows. We're talking lime green, lemon yellow, deep turquoise, black stripes. It's basically nature's own rave bird. But for all its color, the bar-bellied Pitta isn't easy to spot. It prefers to stay low, hopping along the forest floor in the shadows, hunting insects and worms with a sharp, darting beak. And if you hear something rustle nearby, it's probably already gone. Males, of course, take the drama up a notch. During mating season, they perform a little dance, puffing out their chest and bobbing their heads in what can only be described as jungle flirting. And here's a wild twist. Even though it's not globally endangered, it's considered near threatened, mainly because its beautiful forest home is slowly disappearing. Scientists have even said that if you're lucky enough to see one in the wild, it's like watching a living jewel dart between the leaves. Here one second, gone the next. It's a perfect opener for our list. Loud in color, shy in nature, and almost too beautiful to believe. The bar-bellied Pitta is proof that sometimes the flashiest treasures don't soar in the sky. They hop quietly through the shadows. If someone took a box of neon crayons and gave it wings, this bird would fly straight out of it. Meet the bar-bellied Pitta, a bird that doesn't walk so much as it hops, like a wind-up toy powered by pure jungle energy. Found in the dense forests of central and southern Vietnam, this dazzling ground dweller flashes across the undergrowth, with feathers so bright it looks like it glows. We're talking lime green, lemon yellow, deep turquoise, black stripes. It's basically nature's own rave bird. But for all its color, the bar-bellied Pitta isn't easy to spot. It prefers to stay low, hopping along the forest floor in the shadows, hunting insects and worms with a sharp, darting beak. And if you hear something rustle nearby, it's probably already gone. Males, of course, take the drama up a notch. During mating season, they perform a little dance, puffing out their chest and bobbing their heads in what can only be described as jungle flirting. And here's a wild twist. Even though it's not globally endangered, it's considered near threatened, mainly because its beautiful forest home is slowly disappearing. Scientists have even said that if you're lucky enough to see one in the wild, it's like watching a living jewel dart between the leaves. Here one second, gone the next. It's a perfect opener for our list. Loud in color, shy in nature, and almost too beautiful to believe. The bar-bellied Pitta is proof that sometimes the flashiest treasures don't soar in the sky. They hop quietly through the shadows. There's always one bird at the party who shows up dressed to impress and never stops talking. That's the collared laughingthrush. And trust me, you'll hear it before you see it. Sporting a bright orange face, a black collar that looks like a built-in turtleneck, and a warm gray body, this bird is bold, fashionable, and just a little bit dramatic. Native only to the Lang Biang Mountains near Dalat, The collared laughing thrush is one of Vietnam's most striking endemics. Its name comes from its call, a bubbly, echoing laugh that sounds like it's swapping jungle gossip with its friends. These birds live in the cool, evergreen forests between 4,000 and 6,000 feet above sea level. They're social creatures, often seen in small chattering groups, bouncing between tree branches like caffeinated comedians. And yes, they actually sound like they're laughing. Some bird watchers have described the sound as a rolling chuckle. Others say it's like a witch giggling into a coffee mug. Either way, once you hear it, you'll never forget it. Fun fact, this species was first described in 1939 by a French ornithologist who basically said, "What on earth is this noisy orange-headed thing?" Unfortunately, like many of Vietnam's mountain birds, the collared laughing thrush is considered vulnerable. Its cloud forest home is under pressure from farming, tourism, and illegal wildlife trade. But if you're lucky enough to find one, you'll be rewarded with a bird that doesn't just look and sound fantastic. It feels like a character straight out of an animated movie. Stylish, loud, and impossible to ignore. The collared laughing thrush is basically the jungle's favorite extrovert. Imagine a bird that looks like someone spilled paint on a forest leaf, and it came to life. That's the Vietnamese cutia, a tiny mosaic of orange, slate gray, and soft black, delicately stitched together in a pattern that almost doesn't seem real. This bird is a walking piece of abstract art. Found only in the evergreen highland forests of central Vietnam, the cutia is small but striking, with a sharp beak and bold eyebrows that give it a perpetually curious expression, like it's judging your fashion choices from a tree branch. But what makes this bird really interesting isn't just how it looks, it's where and how it lives. The Vietnamese cutia shares its misty mountain home with some pretty iconic neighbors, gibbons, langurs, and rare muntjac deer. It's part of a complex, fragile ecosystem that hums with biodiversity. Cutias are active little foragers, creeping along moss-covered branches in search of insects and seeds. You won't find them flying high overhead. They prefer to keep close to the trunks, moving with quick, deliberate hops like stealthy little acrobats. Unlike louder species, the cutia's voice is a soft, whistled call, just enough to say, "I'm here," without giving away too much. This subtle nature, combined with their remote range, means they're rarely seen, even by experienced birders. And while they're not officially endangered, their home is being squeezed by logging and habitat loss. Every tree felled is a little less shelter, a little less silence. In a forest full of noise, the Vietnamese cutia is a whisper of elegance, quiet, elusive, and beautifully out of place in a world moving too fast. If the jungle had a neighborhood watch, this bird would run the group chat. Meet the black-hooded laughing thrush, one of the chattiest birds in all of Vietnam. With its jet black hood, white cheeks, and sleek gray body, it looks like a little feathered ninja, but one that never stops talking. Found only in the Annamite Mountains, this bird lives in dense evergreen forests, often in groups of 6 to 10. And when they get together, it's pure chaos. Chirps, whistles, laughs, squeaks, like a jungle podcast with no off button. Their calls are so expressive that birdwatchers sometimes describe them as having conversations, greeting each other, warning about predators, maybe even complaining about the weather. And get this, they even sing duets, trading calls back and forth in a synchronized rhythm. Visually, they're elegant, but not flashy. The black and white contrast gives them a formal, almost tuxedo-like appearance, like they're always dressed for a forest wedding. But their true charisma is in their voice. If you walk through their territory, they'll likely spot you first. One bird will shout, the others will join in, and within seconds, you're being live commentated by an entire avian chorus. They're highly social and incredibly aware of their surroundings, acting almost like guardians of the forest. Unfortunately, much of their habitat has been fragmented by logging and agriculture. While they're not critically endangered yet, their populations are declining and their voices are growing fewer. So next time you hear a burst of bird chatter in the Vietnamese highlands, don't be surprised if it's a black-hooded laughing thrush calling you out for trespassing in their group chat. Some birds are famous for their colors, others for their songs. But this one, it's famous for disappearing. Meet the orange-necked partridge, a round, shy bird with an orange collar, red legs, and a secretive personality. For over 60 years, scientists believed it was extinct. The last confirmed sighting? Sometime in the 1920s. And then in 1991, like a plot twist in a nature documentary, it reappeared, quietly walking through a forest in southern Vietnam like it had never left. This bird doesn't fly far. It prefers the ground, moving through the leaf litter like a cautious hiker, alert, quiet, and quick to vanish if disturbed. It's a bird that thrives in lowland evergreen forests, often near bamboo thickets. But despite its rediscovery, sightings remain incredibly rare. Even experienced ornithologists might go years without seeing one in the wild. The orange collar is subtle but striking, a flash of color around the neck, almost like it's wearing a little scarf it refuses to take off. And its call, a soft, rhythmic coo coo coo, ghostly, distant, like someone knocking politely from deep inside the woods. The orange-necked partridge is now classified as vulnerable, mostly due to habitat loss from logging and agriculture. But its very existence is a symbol of hope, proof that even in the age of extinction, some species can still surprise us. In a world that often forgets what it can't see, this little partridge reminds us to look again, because sometimes the rarest things just need a second chance. Some birds hide, others vanish. But the gray-crowned crocias? It became a ghost, and then came back to life. For more than 50 years, no one had seen this bird, not even a feather. Scientists quietly assumed it had gone extinct, disappearing into the mossy forests of southern Vietnam for good. And then, in 1994, a group of researchers stumbled upon something unexpected. A soft brown bird with a fluffy silver crown sitting silently in the misty treetops. The gray-crowned crocias was real, still alive. It's a bird of shadows and silence, with subtle colors, warm browns, pale grays, and a long tail. It doesn't dazzle, it blends. Its preferred habitat? Dense, humid, moss-draped, montane forests between 3,000 and 6,000 feet. These are the kind of places where fog never lifts and where the forest floor glows green with mystery. Unlike other songbirds, the crocias is reserved. Its call is a simple whistle, barely louder than a breeze. It moves carefully along branches, often in pairs, like forest phantoms passing through ancient halls. Today it's listed as endangered, and not just because it's rare. Its forest home is shrinking fast, pushed back by development and agriculture. But its rediscovery remains one of the most exciting ornithological moments in Vietnam's history. A reminder that not everything lost is gone forever. In a world obsessed with loud and flashy, the gray-crowned crocius is a quiet miracle. It doesn't need to be bright to be beautiful. It just needed someone to notice. It was still here. You've heard of ninja warriors. Now meet the ninja bird. The short-tailed scimitar babbler is so stealthy, so secretive, that for years, no one was even sure it still existed. And here's the crazy part. Most people who study this bird haven't even seen it. They've just heard it. This elusive species creeps through the dark undergrowth of Vietnam's central mountains like a forest shadow, slipping between tree roots, leaf piles, and mossy rocks. It has a long, curved beak like a tiny sickle, perfect for prying insects out of bark, and a stubby little tail that barely moves. From a distance, you might mistake it for a mouse. Its call is a faint series of clicks and whistles, like someone tapping a spoon on glass in the distance. It doesn't sing, it signals. And those signals? That's how researchers have confirmed it's still out there. Most records of this bird are sound recordings. Not photos, not videos. It's like trying to study a myth with a microphone. The scimitar babbler lives deep in the evergreen forests of the Annamite Range, rugged, remote, and rarely visited. And with the rise of habitat destruction, even sound evidence is getting harder to find. Conservationists are racing against time to learn more before silence falls for good. But in a strange way, the mystery is part of the magic. because the short-tailed scimitar babbler reminds us that some of nature's wonders don't want to be found. They want to be heard. Tiny bird, big voice, and absolutely zero interest in being ignored. This is the Vietnamese wren-babbler, a puffball-sized powerhouse that sings like it's auditioning for American Idol, but from inside a cave. Barely 4 inches long and weighing less than a golf ball, this bird is so small it could sit in the palm of your hand and still have room to pace while it sings. But don't let the size fool you. Its voice is shockingly loud for something that looks like a baby pine cone. Its call is a sharp, metallic trill that echoes through the misty forests of central Vietnam. Some birders say it sounds like a malfunctioning robot. Others say it's closer to a digital alarm clock in a haunted forest. Either way, you'll hear it. What makes this bird especially fascinating is how secretive it is, despite the noise. It rarely flies. Instead, it scurries between roots, hides in rocks, and vanishes into underbrush, like a feathered forest gnome. You might hear its song 5 feet away and still never see it. It thrives in high-altitude evergreen forests, where the air is cool and the ground is always damp. And because of its limited range and fragmented habitat, it's now considered near threatened. But its persistence is inspiring. Even as the forest changes, even as the world gets louder, this tiny bird still sings its heart out, morning after morning, fog or no fog. The Vietnamese wren-babbler doesn't need to be flashy. It just needs you to listen. Loud, proud, and less than 2 ounces, this is the little bird that refused to be quiet. In a jungle full of neon feathers and showy songs, here comes a bird dressed in earth tones, whispering like the forest itself. The rusty-naped Pitta is the introvert of Vietnam's rainforest. Soft-spoken, low-profile, and heartbreakingly beautiful in its simplicity. Covered in shades of cinnamon, moss green, and muted gray, this bird blends into the forest floor like a fallen leaf come to life. But what it lacks in flash, it makes up for in soul. Its name comes from its coppery orange head, a rusty cap that shines just slightly when the light hits right. The rest of the body? Soft greens and browns, like a watercolor painting that someone gently smudged. You'll never see this bird high in the trees. It lives low, hopping slowly through the shadows, picking through leaf litter in search of insects and snails. Its movements are deliberate, thoughtful, like it knows the forest by heart. And when it sings, just a single haunting note, clear, slow, and lonely. Some say it sounds like a question left unanswered. Others call it the forest's sigh. The rusty-naped Pitta is not endangered globally, but in Vietnam, its population is small and fragmented. Logging, hunting, and habitat degradation have pushed it deeper into silence. But for those who manage to glimpse one, even for a moment, it feels less like spotting a bird and more like sharing a secret with the jungle. Quiet, grounded, undeniably poetic. The rusty-naped Pitta reminds us, not all beauty screams for attention. Some of it simply waits until you're ready to notice. If royalty existed in the bird world, this one would wear a velvet cape and travel in a glittering entourage. Say hello to the white-winged magpie, a bird so elegant it makes every tree branch feel like a red carpet. With a midnight blue body, long, graceful tail, bright white wings, and a sleek black crest swept back like it just stepped out of a wind tunnel. This magpie doesn't blend in. It makes an entrance. But don't be fooled by the looks. This bird is also brilliant. Part of the corvid family, the same bird group as ravens, crows, and jays. That means it's smart, social, and knows how to work a crowd. Native to northern Vietnam and a few pockets in southern China, the white-winged magpie lives in small family groups. They forage together, warn each other of danger, and even take turns babysitting chicks. Basically, it's like a jungle co-op with better fashion. These birds prefer secondary forests and edges, not the deepest jungles, but places where they can move fast and keep an eye on everything. Their call? A harsh, cackling rock that doesn't exactly match their royal look, but somehow makes them even more charming. Sadly, they're classified as near threatened due to forest loss and trapping for the pet trade, which is tragic Because these magpies are more than just pretty faces. They're intelligent, complex, and socially sophisticated. Think of them as the diplomats of the canopy, stylish, strategic, and full of personality. And if you're lucky enough to see one leap from branch to branch in the golden light of a Vietnamese morning, you'll understand why this bird deserves to be seen, not caged. Sometimes the rarest creatures aren't hidden in deep jungles. They're waiting quietly in the mountains just a few hours from a city. Meet the Tonkin partridge, a bird so rare it might live closer to Hanoi than you do. And yet, almost no one has seen it. This plump, ground-dwelling bird is roughly the size of a grapefruit, with a brownish body, distinct white cheek patches, and a red beak and legs that stand out against the forest floor. It's shy, cautious, a master of silence. Found only in a few isolated mountain pockets in northern Vietnam, this bird prefers steep, damp forested hillsides, the kind of places where mist clings to the ferns, and even footsteps feel too loud. Despite its quiet demeanor, the Tonkin partridge plays an important ecological role, helping to control insects, turn over leaf litter, and disperse seeds. But it's also critically endangered. Its range is tiny, its habitat is fragmented, and its future, deeply uncertain. In fact, some scientists believe there may be fewer than a few hundred individuals left in the wild. Most Vietnamese people, even nature lovers, have never heard of this bird, and maybe that's the most haunting part. Not that it's hard to find, but that we stopped looking. The Tonkin partridge is a reminder that even in a country as rich in biodiversity as Vietnam, some treasures can quietly fade away within arm's reach. No exotic jungle required, just the will to listen and the heart to care. Most birds on this list were once known, then forgotten, but this one, the world didn't even know it existed until 2001. Meet the chestnut-eared laughingthrush, a true mystery bird that quietly evaded science until the 21st century. It was first described from Vietnam's Tonkin National Park, a remote mist-covered forest in the Central Highlands. And the moment researchers saw it, they realized they were looking at something completely new. Its chestnut-colored ear patch gives it a permanent sideburns look, paired with dark eye stripes, a gray-brown body, and a vibe somewhere between curious and highly suspicious. Like other laughing thrushes, it's social, intelligent, and vocal, often found in small groups chatting noisily as they hop through the underbrush. But unlike its relatives, this one lives in near isolation. The chestnut-eared laughing thrush has an extremely limited range, found only in a narrow slice of forest inside that one national park. It's believed that it evolved in geographic isolation, cut off from its cousins for so long that it became something entirely new. Its discovery was a huge moment for ornithologists, not because it's the flashiest bird, but because it proved that even in the modern age, there are still secrets hiding in plain sight. Sadly, its forest is under threat from logging and agriculture, and its tiny population is now endangered. So now it's not just a new species, it's a species we could lose, almost as soon as we met it. And that, more than anything, is why it matters. The chestnut-eared laughing thrush is a living reminder. Sometimes nature's newest faces are the ones we must protect the fastest. You're walking through the forest. The air is damp, light filters through the canopy, and then a flash of electric blue cuts across the shadows like a dream. You've just seen the blue-rumped pitta, and if you're lucky, you'll never forget it. This bird is the definition of blink and you'll miss it. With its chestnut-brown body, green wings, black and white face pattern, and of course, that brilliant sapphire blue patch just above the tail, it looks like it was designed by a painter with a flair for surprise. It lives low to the ground in dense, dark forests of Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. And while it's not exclusive to Vietnam, some of the best remaining habitats for this species are deep in Vietnamese reserves. But don't expect to just walk in and find one. The blue-rumped pitta is an expert at hiding. It moves silently, hops quickly, and vanishes into leaf litter with the stealth of a magician. Birdwatchers sometimes spend days in the jungle trying to spot just one flash of that blue. Its call is equally subtle, a short, whistled hoo, that echoes like a breath through trees. Males perform gentle courtship dances, hopping in circles to woo the females. Quiet, delicate movements that echo the bird's overall elegance. Though not globally endangered, habitat loss in Vietnam has made it locally vulnerable. And since it relies on pristine forest floor, even small disruptions can drive it away. But for those who do see one, it's like catching a secret the forest didn't mean to share. The blue-rumped pitta isn't just rare, it's enchanting, a living reminder that the jungle still holds magic for those patient enough to wait. If birds had a runway, this one would shut it down. Say hello to the crested argus, a bird so massive, so elaborate, it looks like it was designed by a fantasy novelist and a fashion designer working together. Native only to the dense rainforests of Vietnam and Laos, the crested argus is one of the most spectacular pheasants on Earth. Males can reach over 6 feet in total length, most of that taken up by a ridiculously long tail covered in enormous eye-like patterns that shimmer in the light like a peacock from another planet. Its body is brown and gold, speckled with intricate markings, and its head carries a crest that gives it a regal, almost mythical look. But here's the kicker. Despite its outrageous appearance, it's incredibly hard to find. This bird lives deep in old-growth forests, avoiding humans at all costs. Even researchers with camera traps and hours of patience might never catch a glimpse. And if you thought the blue-rumped pitta was shy, the crested argus is the forest's ghostly king, heard rarely seen. During mating season, males clear out a dance floor in the undergrowth and begin their ritual. They fan out their tail, puff up their feathers, and perform a slow, hypnotic dance. Part ballet, part martial arts, part ancient ritual only birds understand. And the sound? A haunting, far-carrying call that echoes across the mountains like a jungle trumpet. Tragically, the crested argus is now threatened by habitat destruction and hunting. Its numbers are declining fast. But for those lucky enough to witness its performance, even once, it's unforgettable. The crested argus isn't just rare, it's a symbol, a legend. Proof that Vietnam's forests still hold wonders the world barely knows. And maybe, just maybe, that some kings don't need crowns, just feathers. From jungle jokers to ghostly ground dwellers, Vietnam's birds are more than just beautiful. They're full of mystery, history, and personality. But as we've seen, many of these rare species are on the edge, quietly fading into the forest, one lost tree at a time. Protecting them starts with noticing them, sharing their stories, listening to the songs before the silence. So if you learned something new today, or if one of these birds surprised you, leave us a comment below. Maybe you've seen one. Maybe you've never heard of any of them. Either way, we'd love to know. Which bird fascinated you the most? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because we're just getting started on our journey into the world's most overlooked species. Until next time, keep exploring and keep listening. The jungle is never truly silent.